I'm Sabrina Zainal, and this is Nightline, the top stories. Subsidies enjoyed by the wealthy must be slashed before reintroduction of GST, says PM. And let Parliamentary Select Committee shed light on my DNAA, says Zahid Hamidi. Good morning. We begin with this story. The Prime Minister assures foreign investors and industry leaders from the Asian region that there is no concern with the issue of political stability in Malaysia. Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, said now was the right time to invest in Malaysia. In a social media post, he said this was explained to over 400 people during the Fireside Conversation session in conjunction with the Milken Institute 10th Annual Asia Summit in Singapore on Wednesday. Anwar said he met and spoke with 22 entrepreneurs and heads of investment and banking organizations in Asia at a separate session. The Prime Minister said he summarized that Malaysia focuses on complementing and adding value to economic and social growth with neighboring countries. Now, the government needs to reduce subsidies enjoyed by the rich before reintroducing the Goods and Services Tax, GST. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said although subsidy rationalisation is not going to be a popular decision, the government has little choice but to do this as soon as possible, with the country's expenditure on subsidies being one of the highest in Asia. During the session, a conversation with the Prime Minister of Malaysia at the Milken Institute 10th Annual Asia Summit in Singapore on Wednesday, Anwar admitted that the GST is the most efficient and transparent tax system.
GST is the most efficient, transparent tax system. Right. When do we implement? It depends on the threshold. When people are living in abject poverty, you have to introduce progressive tax policies, but not a broad-based policy that will affect the very poor. I mean, that's my point. So you will have to give some time. But then do you do nothing? No. You have to broaden the tax base.
On investments, he said Malaysia is focusing on clarity with regards to policies to ensure Malaysia is able to attract them, as it successfully did in the 90s. He said with the right policies and clarity of economic policies, Malaysia could do much better than the 90s, supported by good governance. During a press conference, the Prime Minister also touched on the cooperation for the special economic and finance zones between Malaysia and Singapore.
Saya telah sebut kepada pelabur kerana kos hidup untuk pengurus di Singapura itu terlalu tinggi. Jadi Malaysia menyediakan satu kawasan memudahkan perjalanan mereka dan hidup dalam keadaan lebih selesa dan suasana yang lebih baik dengan kemudahan-kemudahan termasuk sekolah internasional dan kelab golf dan semua kemudahan dan perjalanan yang mudah melalui link kedua Singapore.
The Prime Minister was in Singapore for a one-day working visit, among other things, to attend the invitation of the Milken Institute to provide views with a focus on how Malaysia can attract investment from abroad. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister of Singapore, Lee Hsien Loong, and his wife hosted Anwar and wife Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail at an afternoon tea ceremony. Speaking to the media at the end of the visit, he said the two had discussed matters that touch on both countries, but explained that it was not a formal meeting. However, the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone was one of the topics raised by the Prime Minister in the informal bilateral discussion with his Singaporean counterpart. Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said he is leaving it to the Parliamentary Select Committee on Human Rights, Elections and Institutional Reforms to shed light on the discharge not amounting to acquittal DNAA granted to him in his Yayasan Akabudi case. The Deputy Prime Minister said this when asked to comment on the statement by the committee's chairman, William Leong Ji Keen, that it would summon Attorney General AG Dato' Ahmad Teriruddin Muhammad Saleh to provide explanations regarding the DNAA.
Itu adalah pengumuman yang dilakukan di sidang khas membahaskan KHP ataupun kajian skor penggal RMK 12 dan kita
At the special Dewan Rakyat sitting on Tuesday, Leong said the committee would also summon former AG Tan Sri Idrus Harun to explain the DNAA. He added that a report would be presented after the proceedings were conducted. The development took place after the emergency motion tabled by Machang MP, Wan Faisal Wan Ahmad Kamal last week to debate Zahid's DNAA was rejected. Now, moving in the meantime, while debating the 12th Malaysia Plan midterm review in the Dewan Rakyat, Perikatan Nasional PN Chairman Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin raised the race, religion and royalty, or 3R issue. He alleged that there is political interference on the probe conducted by the authorities. The PN chief made the allegation despite Bukit Aman repeatedly stressing that investigations are conducted on anyone, regardless of political affiliations, based on the provisions of the law.
Muhyiddin, who is also Bersatu President, also questioned the government's action plan to strengthen the economy of the Bumiputras during the debate. The Pagoh Member of Parliament also spoke about police's investigation on himself and others in PN, alleging that no action was taken against government leaders who touched on the same issue, but did not provide specific examples. Bukit Aman opened 2 investigation papers against Muhyiddin in connection with allegations of issuing statements linked to 3R during the 2 by-elections in Johor last week.
Nasihat terakhir bagi, masih ada lagi orang nak menggunakan kesempatan untuk mengeksploitasi isu 3R untuk kepentingan politik ni orang. Jadi isu ni akan berterusan dan pihak polis sentiasa memantau semua social media adalah kenyataan. Kalau ada lagi seperti biasa, kita akan membuat kertas siasatan.
The government has been called to set a deadline in efforts to separate the powers involving the Attorney General and the Public Prosecutor. Bagan MP Lim Guan Eng said the move is required to raise the confidence of the community on the transparency of legal actions in the country, in line with the spirit of reform championed by the unity government.
Hanya dengan langkah ini, barulah kita, saya percaya, dapat meyakinkan rakyat bahawa semangat reformasi yang ada dalam kerajaan perpaduan ini masih membara-bara lagi dan bukan seperti yang dilaungkan oleh pihak tertentu.
He said this when debating on the motion of the midterm review of the 12th Malaysia Plan, 12 MP MTR, at the Dewan Rakyat. The DAP chairman also urged Attorney General Dato' Ahmad Teriruddin Muhammad Saleh to clarify the DNAA decision relating to Dato' Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi. Lim said a comprehensive and transparent explanation will give the people confidence on any action taken by the Attorney General, including the Bar Council, which has voiced dissatisfaction over the decision.
This week on Money Matters, the Environmental Social Governance ESG framework, what trends are seen in ESG investing, how to communicate ESG efforts to gain consumer trust and loyalty, what's the ESG impact on a company's financial performance. Join us with ESG Association President Chia Kok Hung this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and live HD stream on Tonton.
Government Technology, or GovTech Malaysia, has been established to accelerate the digital revolution, focusing on enhancing the government's capacity for quality public data, innovation and services in a comprehensive manner. Chief Secretary to the government, Tan Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali, said the GovTech Malaysia was a whole-of-government approach, focusing on people centricity, universal access to government services and a holistic approach to digital transformation.
Kita perlu sedar bahawa perkhidmatan awam yang terbaik tidak hanya bergantung kepada keupayaan dan kecekapan manusia yang mentadbir dan menguruskannya maupun dokumen dasar, panduan ataupun SOP semata-mata, tetapi juga pada teknologinya yang cutting edge atau canggih, memudahkan dan menjimatkan masa serta tenaga.
Speaking at the Public Sector Digital Conference 2023 in Putrajaya on Wednesday, Muhammad Zuki said efforts to create GovTech Malaysia will definitely have a positive impact on the GovTech Maturity Index, GTMI, which was introduced in 2020 involving 198 countries. Malaysia, as per the GTMI Report 2022, falls under the GovTech Leaders category, characterized by a very high index where this designation serves as a global benchmark for Malaysia's digital competence enhancement. Parliament. He also said that Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has also confirmed that the government will start a digital revolution by simplifying the delivery of services through the full utilisation of the digitalisation agenda to the highest level.
Moving on, Kuala Lumpur Police will ramp up a massive integrated traffic operation with other enforcement agencies to combat a range of traffic violations on September 15th at 16 designated locations. According to Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Datuk Alauddin Abdul Majid, the latest operation will be conducted until September 29th.
Untuk memastikan warga Kuala Lumpur ni patuh kepada peraturan jalan raya dan semua peraturan, sama ada parkingnya, halangannya, traffic light, isyarat lalu lintas dan sebagainya. Dan kita buat secara kolaborasi dengan DBKL, dengan Jabatan Pengangkutan Jalan dan juga Jabatan Alam Sekitar.
The operation, codenamed Respect Traffic Laws Ops, focused on 7 major offences involving illegal parking, road obstruction, traffic light violations, vehicle registration plate offences, dark tinting offences, motorcycle offences and education operations. Among the locations are the junctions of Jalan Tun Razak, Jalan Ampang, Jalan Tuanku Abdul Rahman, Jalan Sultan Ismail and Jalan Raja Laut. The operation was a continuation of a similar operation, which was conducted from July 1st until July 31st, where police have issued approximately 157,000 summonses for various offences. Now, the development of free AI tools like ChatGPT has made life a lot simpler for many companies, but the growing use of AI has also sparked a debate about redundancy in the workplace. So is AI a boon or bane? FMT's Jason Desmond has the report.
The robots have begun their invasion. But don't worry, unlike many sci-fi movies, the robots are not here to rule the world, but serve up a freshly cooked roti canai or a delicious glass of teh tarik. The use of AI-powered robots has, however, raised an important question. Will they one day replace humans in the workplace? According to Fahad Naim, the country director of a recruitment agency, there is no need to press the panic button yet. In fact, AI will create more jobs. But there is an important caveat. Employees must up their game.
If we are, let's say, killing about 50,000 jobs, AI is producing another 150,000 jobs. Right. So there is a counter to it. But if companies are not investing to upgrade themselves, if individuals are not learning to use those technologies, then there is a problem.
In its latest survey, the recruitment agency found that 37% of the Malaysians surveyed expressed fear about losing their jobs. Naim, however, said AI should not be seen as a threat, but a tool to make life better and easier. Ubaida Abdul Karim, the operations manager of a local Indian Muslim restaurant chain, can testify to this. The restaurant turned to robot servers at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic when foreign workers returned to their home countries.
As in terms of the durability, they can work 12 hours a day without break at all. Okay, in terms of cost, from my calculation, obviously that we can see that tremendously that the cost we can save roughly about 20 to 30%.
But does this mean human workers will be phased out?
In future, I would say that most probably that we are not going to depending 100% in human, because obviously we are depending each other.
Jason Desmond, FMT for Nightline.
Some things just do not belong in restaurants, and in 2019, the government made it clear that this included smoking. 4 years have passed since smoking was banned in restaurants and eateries, but stubborn smokers are still very much in the midst. FMT's Danish Rajareza finds out why.
Imagine a lip-smacking plate of mee goreng mamak. Your senses primed for the culinary delight, only for your experience to be disrupted by the unbearable and unmistakable smell of cigarette smoke. Smoking in restaurants was supposed to be a thing of the past after a government ban took effect on January 1st, 2019. But 4 years on, smokers lighting up in eateries is still very much a common sight. Azrul Khalib, CEO of the Galen Center for Health and Social Policy, chalks it up to the attitudes of owners and patrons.
Social behaviors and attitudes must change if smoking in restaurants are to be reduced or eliminated altogether. No amount of new policies will make a difference if smokers continue to not care of the effect their smoking has on others, or non-smokers and businesses remain silent to those who ignore the ban.
In 2018, the government amended the Control of Tobacco Products Regulations 2004 to ban smoking in eateries. Under the law, anyone caught smoking at an eatery is liable to be fined. At the same time, proprietors and operators may be penalized if they provide facilities for smoking or fail to display no smoking signs at their outlets. During the first 6 months of enforcement, the Health Ministry focused on advocacy, after which it ramped up spot checks, handing up fines to those violating the ban. But this has not stopped patrons from lighting up cigarettes at eateries. Beyond enforcement agencies, Azrul says, there is a need for operators to be accountable, which is sorely lacking. This is mostly due to operators not wanting to offend patrons and in the process lose their business.
Smokers may get aggressive or resort to insults and threats of violence if prevented from smoking in these eateries. Fellow diners play an important role in helping the eateries to enforce smoking bans, but to be honest, all people want to do is eat their kway teow goreng and mind their own business.
Azrin Saleh is one of the few restaurant owners taking a tough stance against stubborn smokers.
Kalau kami nampak memang kami akan tegur. Lepas tu ada juga yang okey, diorang akan stand up. Lepas tu pergi ke tempat yang lebih selesa macam yang tak ada di sini lah. Biasanya jumpa customer macam tu biasanya yang berumur sikit. Yang macam tua-tua sikit lah. So bila kita macam kita orang muda kan, kita tegur, diorang macam tak boleh nak terima. Tapi kita cakap jugalah ini untuk kebaikan semua pelanggan.
Danish Raja Reza, FMT for Nightline.
Dozens killed in Vietnam apartment fire. News from the foreign front after this breather. Hanoi on Wednesday has killed at least 56 people, including 4 children, and injured 37 others. It was reported that the fire in the 9-story building with 150 residents broke out in the middle of the night but had been contained by 2 a.m. local time. Although the blaze was out, authorities said the building's location at end of a narrow alley made rescue operations difficult, resulting in dozens of people trapped in the building until after dawn. The Public Security Ministry said police have detained the owner of the building, Ngiem Quang Min, accusing him of violating fire prevention regulations, adding that an investigation into the case is underway. Following this, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh on Wednesday called for the completion of anti-fire regulations at small-sized apartment buildings and in densely populated residential areas. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin met for a rare summit at Russia's Vostochny Cosmodrome on Wednesday, a couple of hours after Pyongyang fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles off its east coast. Kim and Putin were reportedly discussing military matters, the war in Ukraine, and possible Russian help for the secretive communist state's satellite program. The summit between the leaders of the two countries, which have become increasingly isolated internationally, is being watched closely by Washington and allies who suspect they could agree to trade arms. They have expressed concern that Putin would secure much-needed weapons for Russia's war in Ukraine, while Kim is expected to press for economic aid and military technology in return. Moscow and Pyongyang, however, have denied such intentions. In the meantime, Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan's jail detention related to charges of leaking state secrets was extended for another 2 weeks. Khan's lawyer on Wednesday said the latest extension of the remand order will keep the 70-year-old in jail until September 26th. In late August, a high court suspended Khan's prison sentence for corruption just weeks after he was jailed, but a prior order for his remand and custody in the state secrets case prevented his release. In the state secrets case, Khan is charged with making public contents of a confidential cable sent by Pakistan's ambassador to the U.S. and using it for political gain. Khan alleges that the cable proves the U.S. had pressed Pakistan's military to orchestrate the fall of his government because he had visited Russia shortly before its invasion on Ukraine in February 2022. Washington and the Pakistani military, in the meantime, have denied Khan's accusations. India's southern state of Kerala shut down schools, offices and public transport on Wednesday as they scrambled to rein in the spread of the rare and deadly brain-damaging Lympah virus that has killed 2 people. According to a state health official, an adult and a child are still infected in hospital, and more than 130 people have been tested for the virus, spread via direct contact with the bodily fluids of infected bats, pigs or people. Health Minister Veena George said the main focus was on tracing contacts of infected persons early and isolating anyone with symptoms. She also said that public movement has been restricted in parts of the state to contain the medical crisis. 2 people have died since August 30th in the state's 4th outbreak of the virus since 2018, forcing authorities to declare containment zones in at least 7 villages in the district of Kozhikode. football. Defending champions Johor Darul Takzim JDT downed Negeri Sembilan 3-0 in the first leg of the Malaysia Cup quarter-finals on Wednesday night. Goals from Arif Aiman Hanapi in the 20th minute, followed by goals from Bergson da Silva in the 31st and 92nd minute at the Tuanku Abdul Rahman Stadium in Paroi, gave the Southern Tigers a comfortable cushion for the return leg. JDT, who whipped Negeri 7-0 in a Super League match in Paroi on March 6th, seemed sluggish coming off a 3-week international break despite dominating possession. Negeri goalkeeper Firdaus Irman Fadil pulled off several saves to keep the scores down. In tennis, Simona Halep said she was shocked on Wednesday as she commented on the doping ban she received on Tuesday. The two-time Grand Slam champion was suspended from professional tennis for 4 years for doping violations, the International Tennis Integrity Agency said on Tuesday. The 31-year-old Romanian had been accused of 2 doping offenses, failing a drug test during the 2022 U.S. Open, and for irregularities in her athlete biological passport, the ITIA said. Halep, who plans to appeal the ruling, had been provisionally suspended since October 2022. The 4-year ban will run to 6th October 2026. When we return, 2 brothers among 3 charged with gang rape. Don't go away. Welcome back. 3 men, including 2 brothers, were charged at the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court with gang raping their friend's sister-in-law 2 weeks ago. Muhammad Zulhilmi Zainuddin, Nik Muhammad Rahimin Mat Zaid, both 33, and his younger brother, 28-year-old Nik Khaira Hafizi, however, pleaded not guilty when the charge was read to them before Judge Nurina Zainal Abidin on Wednesday.
According to the charge sheet, the trio was charged with raping a 26-year-old woman in a house near Wangsa Maju between 2 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. on August 30th. The offence falls under the Penal Code for rape, which provides imprisonment of up to 20 years and whipping upon conviction. The court did not offer bail to the trio and fixed October 12th for mention. On Friday, the victim's brother-in-law was charged with conspiring with an accomplice to gang rape his sister-in-law repeatedly in a house. The father of 4, however, pleaded not guilty when the charges were read out before Judge Israelizam Sanusi. It was reported that the desire to settle a friend's debt is believed to be the cause that led the man to allow his friends to rape his sister-in-law repeatedly at their residence in Wangsa Maju.
As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look at a new exhibition in London displaying a range of tweed suits to an array of little black dresses, all from the works of one of fashion's most famous designers, Gabrielle Coco Chanel. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for watching and have a great week ahead.